Are you based in New York City and tired of the dating app culture? Well, let me introduce you to Teleport. Teleport is a private matchmaking membership for the ultra eligible here in New York City. Teleport is the invitation-only matchmaking membership powered by AI. You can train your algorithm to get potential matches that are compatible to you based on your love language, passions, values, priorities, ambition, and interest. They also have exclusive events, parties, dinners, and wellness series at premier New York City venues that cultivate community and allow you to interact with members, which is great because it puts you into an environment of single people who are all looking for something more. Well, lucky for you, Teleport is offering Martinis and Bikinis listeners a promotion for membership to the Teleport app. Again, it is invite only, so you will have to apply, but once accepted, you will receive almost a 50% off discount. Typically, the membership is at $111 per month, but with this amazing promo, you can get the membership for $55 per month this summer. This promo is exclusive to Martinis and Bikinis listeners. All you have to do to redeem this special offer is to head to the link in our show notes, tap on the unique link, and apply. Again, all you have to do is head to the show notes, hit that unique link, and apply for the membership. Remember, ladies, we don't chase, we attract. Hello, and welcome back to Martinis and Bikinis. I am your hostess, Veronica Droulia, and I had the pleasure of sitting down this week with the gorgeous, incredibly talented, and New York City it girl, Bruna Petrillo. Bruna is a Brazilian model and content creator here in the city. She was born in Brazil and moved to America with her family at a very young age and has been thriving in New York City for the past 12 years. She's been building her personal brand, connections, and working some seriously cool gigs within the tech space. As of this past year, Bruna was led to a role at a new private members club called Teleport, which is an app that uses AI to connect singles in the city, in person and online through rigorous vetting processes and matchmaking AI technology. I thought it would be so fun to bring her on the show to discuss her modeling career, being a first-generation American, how she juggles it all, and the private members club scene here in New York. I wanted to give you the lowdown on what all of the who's who does in the city and insider secrets of the private members club industry as a whole. I feel like it's so secretive, so I wanted to give you all the juicy tea. So, without further ado, let's welcome the fabulous Bruna Petrillo to Martinis and Bikinis. Hello, and welcome to Martinis and Bikinis, the podcast for everything under the sun. I am your hostess, Veronica Droulia, and I am here to help you navigate your 20s through all things lifestyle, beauty, and fashion. So, if you're ready, let's dive into today's episode. Well, Bruna, welcome to Martinis and Bikinis.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited for you to be here because we've been talking about this for a bit, and I was recently at one of the Teleport events that you put on, and we were just chatting all things podcasting, living in New York, all the things. So I like to start these episodes out with the roots, and just so people can learn more about you before we get into it. But we were just talking about how you're from Brazil.
Yes.
And you went to college here in New York, and I feel like you have a very fabulous life. I love following you on social media. You're always doing so many fun things around the city and traveling and all that fun stuff. So feel free to share more. You can tell us more about growing up in Brazil, how you got here, and maybe some things people don't know about you.
Yeah, thank you. Great intro. I love your style, and you're one of my fashion inspos too.
Oh my gosh, no, you're my fashion inspo. That white dress that you wore in one of your Instagram posts recently.
Ass out.
Oh my gosh,
was
I love
that the
it.
one?
It was the one that had the little horseshoes on it.
Oh yes, it's sick. I wear a lot of white now that I'm a bride to be.
Yes.
But yeah. So Brazil, which is so. My English is so perfect, and no one will ever guess because I've been in the States for so long that I'm from Brazil, but born and raised there. I moved to the States when I was 6, and I moved to Florida originally. So when people ask where you're from, sometimes, either there's a long-winded response or there's a short one. Long-winded is born in Brazil, moved to Florida for elementary and middle school, moved to Connecticut for high school, ended up doing college in New York. So kind of a little bit all over the place, which I think also makes me who I am, because I've never, and I try to think people that have been born and raised in the same place their whole lives. I couldn't imagine that because I've done so many moves. And I think at one point my stepdad in high school wanted to move to Seattle, my senior year of high school, which anyone else would have been absolutely not. I've established myself here. I don't want to leave my friends. I'm always open for it. And I think that was because of moving so much growing up. So I am definitely grateful for that experience. But I would say probably like where I grew up more so is here in Connecticut and in New York. That's where I've established my friends. My family still lives in Connecticut. They're an hour outside of the city. I get to see them once a month. So yeah, and things people don't know about me. My fun fact is that I was like the high school mascot.
Oh my gosh, really? You were a bear?
I was a bear.
So you had to put on a bear
Huge
suit.
Bear head. And that's the thing. Ending up in New York was interesting because I had so much school spirit in high school, you know, mascot, was never a cheerleader, never really made any sports team, was not very athletic, but had that like school spirit and always was one to like get people together, which I guess will tie into like community as we continue to chat. But I thought I wanted to go to like a big school. I thought I wanted to go to University of Miami or somewhere like that with like a big sports team where I can have a lot of school spirit. But I took classes at FIT when I was in high school. I just commuted for like a semester. And seeing FIT and New York City also turned me off to going to school in New York because I'm like, this is just a building.
Right.
You know, it doesn't have what you assume like a college experience is going to have. But I enjoyed the classes a lot and the advertising and the marketing and the fashion side of it. I've always been in fashion. My mom was a model before, and my mom had me at 20.
Oh my gosh.
So she was very young and she was still modeling when she got pregnant. And it's so funny because one of my favorite memories is like a little clipping of her pregnant in like a newspaper in Brazil.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So I've always been into the fashion world and the fashion industry and the modeling space, but I didn't want to go to college in New York. So then I kind of like went to UConn, Stanford branch for a year, took a year off, and then decided like, no, New York is where I want to be and what I want to do. So then I studied at LIM College and did fashion marketing. And that's kind of, you know, I've been here ever since. And not to age myself, that was like 12 years ago. So.
Oh my gosh. So you're a real New Yorker now.
That's what
they say.
Yeah.
After 10 years. That's amazing. I love that your mom was a model and now that's what you're doing. And you are so incredibly talented. I'm cracking up at myself because I always tell my mom before I have people on who I'm having on, and I was like, Mom, you're going to freak out. She's gorgeous. She was like, oh my God, send me pictures.
Oh my gosh.
So I was sending her all of your Instagram pictures. She was like, oh my God, she's drop dead gorgeous. So I feel like it's cool to like follow in the footsteps of your mom. And I know you guys just spent some time together with your grandma. She came up and visited and you guys had a good time.
My godmother.
Oh, your godmother.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Which is my mom's best friend. She lives in Sweden, actually. She's
no
Brazilian,
way.
married a Swede, moved to Sweden. She comes to New York for work once a year. It's like the same weekend. I just had it pop up in my time hop. Like same exact weekend last year, we were all together.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah. My grandma's lives with us and lives in Brazil. So she'll be back at the end of the month.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited.
She's like just living her best life.
Yeah. Yeah. Retired grandma.
I love that. What was it like, so where you went to college, it was in the city, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like being in the city during college and having that experience?
So I think because I didn't take such a linear path and I was a little bit older than people in my class, and I had taken classes like at UConn, Stanford, and I did a community college for like a semester. So I had gotten all my basics out. So I was kind of like taking some classes with people that were probably 2 years, 3 years younger than me at that point. So what I really leaned into was internships.
Yeah.
And I kind of owe a lot of my career and like life path to that. And I will applaud LIM College for that. And I think maybe FIT does something similar where every semester or every year you're kind of forced to do an internship, and your final semester, it's a full-time internship. You don't have class. You only have class on Fridays.
Oh, interesting.
So that's what kind of kept me going. I was coming in twice a week. I commuted from Connecticut for the first year. I was coming in twice a week for classes, and then also on those other 2 off days doing my internship. So it really wasn't a traditional college experience like at all.
Right.
And it's such a commuter school because people come from Long Island or Connecticut or Jersey. The school was right by Grand Central and the trains, so it's super easy to commute in and out. So I actually didn't make a core group of friends. My best friends from college, I actually met when I was studying abroad in Paris with LIM.
Oh my gosh, cool.
And they're my best friends to this day, but it's so funny. We all went to college together and we didn't become friends until we were just thrown together in Paris. So that's the kind of vibe it was. It was completely different from what I expected. But I will say the life experience that you get from going to school in a city like this, and you're not living in a dorm, you're not really subjected to all these different like parties. It's just like the real world.
Right.
It's school is part of like work, kind of, because you go to class, you go to work, you go home, you do your assignments. It felt like very, I don't know, you adult very fast here.
Yeah, I feel like this place breeds so many independent people, and it's kind of a good entryway for people that are independent as well to move here, because you have to be in order to live here.
Yeah.
It's like a free-for-all here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't keep up. So it's
That is so
important to have
true.
that characteristic, I think.
Because one of my first internships, we had this like lovely guy applying who we actually hired, and he came to New York for a weekend. He was going to move here. He was going to work with us for a semester, and he couldn't take it. After like a couple of days of being in New York, he kind of just decided like it wasn't for him and passed on the internship and was just gone.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about that somebody would pass that up, you know? But I think it's because I think the people that live here truly have to love New York.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But what was it like? I don't know if you remember, but assuming you do, moving to America at such a young age, was there like a weird transition or yeah, what was that like?
I moved in the first grade.
Okay.
I was 6. The school year had started. I'll never forget my first grade teacher, Miss Efkin. She didn't want to take me in because I didn't speak a word of English.
Wow.
My family didn't speak a word of English. I moved with my mom, my stepdad at the time, and my 2 brothers. No English, and I was the oldest. I'm the oldest of 3. And my mom was like, please just take her in. And so she did. And she taught me English. And that's why also my English is so good. I mean, we all had to speak English at home, right? And you hear about families that keep their language at home, and we just spoke straight English at home because we all had to learn and we all had to like get by. So it was definitely challenging. I got student of the month.
Oh,
for my quick learning.
Cheers
but I think
to
when
that.
you're, oh yeah, cheers.
I know, we forgot to cheers, but that's a good thing to cheers to.
Yeah. My first grade student of the month award.
Biggest accolade.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
actually.
You have so many. I forget it's bad luck to like not take a sip after you cheers.
Delicious.
It's from the Penrose.
So good.
Yeah. Espresso martini with reposado tequila.
Yes, absolutely.
move.
Always with the reposado.
Yes, absolutely. It's delicious.
But I will say, people make fun of you when you can't pronounce things properly. And I will say, like, that's one of the memories that I have is not being able to say the word tree.
Tree.
Yeah, it's like 3, like with a lisp,
yeah.
3. Besides that, you would adjust pretty quickly at a young age. You know, learning English when you're 6 is so different than trying to learn it in your adult life. And when I moved to Connecticut for high school, that's an easy transition because everyone wants to be friends with the new girl, you know?
You think?
Yeah.
I feel like I've had people on that have been to different high schools. They've like transitioned from one school to the next for high school, and they like had a bad experience. So
Really?
that's great. Well, you were the mascot too, so you were the fan favorite.
I think also because, like I said, some people stay in one place their whole lives. You go to elementary school and middle school and high school with the same people. Having someone new to interact with can be exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it was like a movie, and the first day you don't know where to sit
Right.
during lunch, and you're sitting by yourself, or you go in the bathroom and you lock yourself up. But I think if you're open, people are open. So my experience was fairly nice. And then one of my best friends from high school moved sophomore year. So she was the new girl, and we kind of like bumped heads for a little bit because I don't know. I think in high school is obviously cliquey too. So it's like you got a new girl in. Eventually we became very close. But I think, yeah, it opens a lot of doors because you're constantly just meeting 300 new people. That's how big my class was.
I feel like you're such good energy, and you're great at meeting people and making friends and making connections. And you've been here for 12 years, and I'm sure you've made so many connections, you've lost count. And I would love for you to give some tips to people that maybe are going to a new city or starting this new chapter of life, and or maybe even leaving behind like a group of friends and wanting to start fresh. What advice would you give to somebody for like being like a good like networker, connector, forming relationships? I think because of what you do as well, it's definitely a strong suit for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Always say yes. And my biggest advice in dating is always take the date. And I learned that from my mentor, who was like, always take the interview. So I've taken jobs I never would have thought I had, but it's because you never know. People surprise you, right? So it's always take the date, always take the interview, always say yes. Like if someone's inviting you to an event, just go, because you don't know who you're going to meet, and just be open to talking to people. And funny thing is, I'll bring up Liv because she was just on your podcast. Liv and I met at an event, and she, Liv, like she can talk to anyone. She comes up to me and compliments me on my outfit, and that's all it took. And we've been friends for 5 years. So it's just always like being open and willing to chat and get to know someone and just showing up, honestly.
I was just thinking earlier, I went through a massive party girl phase. I don't know if you ever
Of course.
And I honestly think that made me such a good networker. And I'm not like trying to like tempt people into doing that. But I think just like being like around a bunch of people and having to like go out of your way to make friends, and maybe having like a little bit more of a relaxed state, like just kind of having fun and like just being a free spirit. I feel like that definitely helped me. And especially here, just like there's such a big scene for that. There's also like a wellness scene. There's so many different environments that you can enter into here. But I think like going to events and parties and all of that just helped me tremendously whenever I first moved here. And I'm pretty new to the city. I moved in July, so I'm not even a year in. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think just
You're crushing it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. You're crushing it.
Thank you.
But I know you are the director of communications for Teleport.
Memberships.
Director of memberships.
But we do everything. We're a startup, so.
Yes. But you're like literally
I do all the communications.
You're running
too,
it.
babe.
You're running the show. I know that there's like a great team, but I think that you're doing an incredible job. And I actually recently went to a few of the events, and one was at Casa Cipriani. We had so much fun.
Love it.
It was like such a beautiful, I had never been there. It was so beautiful, like right along the riverfront, gorgeous. And it was such a well done event. And then you guys had like a dance party, induction dance.
Yes.
And I had some friends come too that had joined the app. I think you guys are having like a lot of variety when it comes to the events. So what has that whole process been like? What has it been like just doing all of the direction for this app and just making sure that everybody's having a good time and you're putting on these fun events and making sure that, people are just interested and getting into it and wanting to make connections and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know Teleport, because we're fairly new, we launched in June.
Oh my
So
gosh.
we're going to have the same anniversary.
Oh, we have the same anniversary.
Around the same time. We'll throw a big party.
Yeah.
Which we will, actually. But
like, actually, matter of fact, we will.
we will be throwing a huge party. No, but to give everyone like an insight into Teleport who doesn't know, we are kind of the first of its kind matchmaking membership. So we try to like not call ourselves a dating app. It's not designed like a dating app. There's no swiping. It's very intentional about bringing matchmaking to the masses, because I think there's a lot of intentionality behind matchmaking and why your matchmaker is pairing you with someone, right? It's based off of compatibility, shared values, lifestyle, obviously your preferences. But
Zodiac signs.
some of that, yes, which is crazy, not to divert, but I'm a Gemini. My fiance is a Scorpio. Supposedly the two not compatible signs. And it
Weird.
works. So
I feel like that's common.
you have to like debunk some of those,
Right.
but I'm all for the astrology. But yeah, like it'll take into like your love languages, your attachment styles. There's so much that goes into compatibility. And so what we're trying to do is create this intentional dating in New York City, which New York doesn't traditionally have. We have to weave through a lot. But it's also operating as kind of like a membership club. And what I tell all my girlfriends is like, you can't only be on the apps and you can't only go out to meet someone. You have to have a little bit of both, because it takes a lot of effort to be open to meeting someone. Like we were talking about going out, like you have to be in the right headspace. You're going to get dressed up. You're going to look good. You're going to get your girls together. You're not going to do that every night. So you also do need to be on some sort of like dating platform that's going to give you the opportunity to match with someone that you might not have otherwise matched with. Who maybe lives in a completely different neighborhood. So you need a balance of both. And I think that's where, we thrive, is yes, it's a matchmaking app, but it's also a membership where it's a vetted community. You apply to be accepted. Once you're part of this, it's really like a lifestyle community of matching on the app and curating these events offline for people to meet. So a lot of our members don't use any other dating apps, and they're not like dating app people. And so I get to tell them it's like, it's, you know, A, it's not a dating app, but B, you need to be on it for your matching. And it also gives us insight into curating the event. So say we're doing, you know, a Netflix premiere that's only 20 tickets. We're going to curate people that are going to be compatible with each other. And sometimes we'll do those bigger scale events that are for 200 members. So bringing people together in person and creating this, when you know you're all part of the same membership group, and you're all here for the same reason, which is dating intentionally, and you know that everyone is single and everyone's vetted, there's already that sense of trust, that sense of community, and people are more open to talking to each other, I find.
Absolutely.
So putting like all these amazing eligible singles in New York in the same room and just letting them kind of hit it off. It's like going to, you know, obviously we've done events with Casa Cipriani and all of the membership clubs, but it's like going to a private members club and just imagine everyone is single and everyone is there to connect.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I have this friend that just really wants this to be a thing where when you go into a bar, I think some bars have done this before, they give you a different wristband color if you're single. So that way you know who to go up to, or you know who to talk to if you're looking for a relationship or looking to date. And I think this kind of takes that barrier out of it. It's like, okay, we're all single. We're all in this environment. We're all in this space. So everybody's kind of up for grabs here. Yeah. And I think the whole private members scene in New York is really big right now. We're just talking about how Vanity Fair just came out with an article about Zero Bond. There's Casa Cipriani. There's Soho House, which a lot of people have been feeling a little iffy about lately from different articles and things that I've read, things on TikTok. But that there's so many, and I feel like this is just a really innovative way to bring that scene to like a whole new system and to make it more modernized. And we're all on our phones, so it kind of just takes away that intimidation from the traditional dating app, and it kind of just is more about community too. It makes you feel safer. It's like these people are vetted. And for me personally, I've always been kind of just weirded out about going on dates with people that I don't know anything about them. We don't have any mutuals, anything like that. So I feel like this is definitely more of like a comfortability level aspect that most dating apps don't have.
Yeah, and that Vanity Fair article said that there was about like 8 new private membership clubs in New York since the pandemic.
Wow.
So it's just like everything's a membership club now. One of my girlfriends, she's like splitting with all of her friends, like the different memberships. Like you get one here, you get one here, I'll get this one. And you know, you get 3 people per invite generally for these membership clubs. So you like spread out your resources, divide and conquer, and then you can go everywhere. But it is like, it's building that sense of trust and community. And I think what's nice about creating these groups of people is that sometimes it's people you wouldn't have met otherwise, but at the same time, it's like a friend of a friend. And same with Teleport. It's like, you know, in every membership club, it's you apply, you list your references, and we haven't done any kind of big marketing. So for us, it's all word of mouth, invite only, or referral based. And people always want to date. Like you said, you don't want to go on a date with someone you don't know anything about. But if it's a friend of a friend or someone's referred you, you know that you're like more likely to be open to that.
Right.
And that's how these clubs work. It's you're here because of someone else, or someone else has referred you, or you know someone else within the membership or within the community. And I think that's what makes that level of trust a little bit nicer.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, you guys have like-minded interests. Like we don't limit anything to, you know, Soho House when they started only like creatives, and if you're in finance you can't do it. I think a lot of the clubs now are being more open-minded because you can have incredible people through all different industries, and there doesn't need to be a limit on that. You know, it's people on the top of their fields and whatever career that they might have, but they all are what I find in New York. And when I ask people who want to be like match made, what they're looking for, like the main thing they say is like driven, right? And everyone in New York is driven,
right? So
you're bringing all of these like-minded people into a room, and you're going to inevitably make a friend, make a networking connection, a romantic connection, hopefully at the Teleport events. So yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, of course, it's that sense of exclusivity, and everyone wants to be a part of something, and everyone wants to belong. And especially if you have just moved to the city, it's a great way to meet people. You know, we're not like a Bumble BFF, but I've had girlfriends come to our events by themselves, and at least they make a girlfriend at the event, because then they go and talk to the guys together, and it kind of breaks the ice a little bit. So it forces you into these like uncomfortable situations of just putting yourself out there and making like true friendships.
So the first event that I went to at Casa Cipriani, I ended up meeting a girlfriend, Reza.
Oh, yes.
She's so sweet.
We're doing an event with her.
Oh my gosh,
next
really?
month.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, she's so talented.
She's amazing.
I walked up to her and we were just chatting, and she was like, yeah, I made my outfit. I was like, you made your outfit? She was like, yeah, I made it like 2 hours ago. I was like, okay, we're gonna be friends. I love this. And yeah, we've like hung out ever since. It's cool to like connect with people that have similar interests, and we're both designers, so it's cool how that brought us together. But yeah, I think it's great that there's that vetting process. And I have this really crazy story.
Okay.
And I just want to share it because it's absolutely nuts, and this just reminded me of it. So my friend, her cousin, I think this was in Pennsylvania, she had met this guy on Hinge, and they had been going on a few dates, and she was leaving for the weekend to go house sit for her family. So she had to cancel a date on him, and she was like, sorry, like I have to go house sit for my parents. I'll be back like in a few days. And she's at her parents' house, and she's watching TV, and she gets up to go to the bathroom and leaves her phone on the couch. She walks back out, and her phone is missing. And she just had this like really irky feeling that something bad was happening and somebody was in the house. So she goes to the landline and she calls 911. She's like, hey, this is like a scary story. She's like, hey, I know this is crazy, but I just walked out of the bathroom. My phone is missing. I think that there's someone in my house. And the responder is like, just give us like a few minutes, like call us back if like anything changes. But like there's not really any like solid evidence that we can utilize to send people out. And she was like, okay. She gets off the phone. 5 seconds later, police just barge into her house, and they go into her basement, and they find her Hinge date in the basement with a ski mask on with knives laid out on the table. He was going to chop her up.
No.
And the reason that they knew somebody was in the house was because they had a phone downstairs that was also part of the landline, and they can tell whenever somebody picks up another landline in the household.
He was listening on the other line.
Yeah. Yeah. So that story has traumatized me. I'm sorry for traumatizing everyone else, but
no one's going to go on Hinge anymore.
Yeah, get on Teleport, guys. No more Hinge.
Wow.
Yeah. So it seems like Teleport is a safe app.
Much safer.
But you guys like have so many fun events planned that are coming up, like movie premieres and things like that, and just some really cool collaborations. What you have going with Reza, like I think that's super cool that you're involving the community as well.
I mean, that's a thing. Like we have such a great membership. We have people that own amazing restaurants that we'll like host a dinner at. Reza obviously has her brand, which will showcase some pieces that she'll like create specifically for the event, and it's really nice to tap into our membership and give back. It's like giving back to the community. But yeah, and then just creating like different experiences for people to connect. And I think now a lot of people go more towards like the sober curious space where not every interaction of dating needs to be revolving around going to have a drink or going to have a meal. Right. So we had done a couple partnerships with Equinox and doing like a lineup of maybe like yoga events, meditations. You know, the Netflix premiere is a fun thing to go to. We did a box at Barclays for a Nets game. So just bringing people together based off of like shared interests. And there's so many ways. I mean, we can expand, and we have a lot of fun things in the works. So I'm very excited because the opportunities are pretty much endless when you're getting people based on compatibilities to go on the right dates that will bring them together, and creating those events that will just like bring people together. And I like the smaller dinner series that we do sometimes too, because, you know, we're sneaky in the back end and we'll seat people where we think like they'll vibe, but then you're at a dinner table, and so you have to talk to the person to the left, to the right, to the front of you, but it's not just two people at a table where you're like kind of speed dating and it's awkward. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of different things.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you guys partner with private members clubs too, like Casa Cipriani. What are your favorite clubs here in New York?
I'm a member at Zero Bond. We've done some events with Zero. Casa and Zero, I would say, are my two favorites. We've done a lot of events with the Ned. And again, like, this is just because we have amazing synergies. Like, our members are their members and their members are on Teleport. So it just naturally makes sense. With Cipriani, you know, we did half our members, half of their single members. So it was like kind of like a mixer between the two memberships, and, you know, got their single members on Teleport. But yeah, I mean, the article on Scott Sartiano was great that came out this week. That is one of my favorite places. And I think these membership clubs have also become like a third space where you're not at home, you're not at work, but you could still go there to do work and to hang out and to meet people, but organically, right? If you're like working from, especially now that people are working from home, or there's not really like an office, or there's like a hybrid, having a place like that where you can go to work and you're just like, you never know who's going to be sitting next to you and you're going to spark a conversation with. That'll happen at a coffee shop even, but it's nice to know that, you know, this is like a community of like-minded people. So yeah, I would say, I mean, I used to be a Soho House member. I used to actually use Soho House and let the house as an office.
Yeah. Back
in the day at my, a couple jobs ago. But yeah, Zero is the spot right now.
They all have their charm.
Yeah. They're all kind of unique and different.
Yeah. I feel like there's like so many different like amenities and just things that are accessible for members. And I think it's something that maybe people that don't even live in New York are just interested in. And even people in New York that aren't a part of them are like, just wanting to know what the tea is, like what's going on in there.
Well, because you can't take pictures.
Right.
And it's all very exclusive. And that's the thing, which was interesting about the Zero Bond article, was that it's like bringing it back to not just say like Studio 54 days, but where people can just go and not feel like they're going to get ratted on.
Right.
They always talk about this picture actually at Casa Cipriani where someone snuck a picture of Taylor Swift and their membership was revoked, and I think she canceled her membership. I think that's what the article said. So you want that like area of like privacy. No one's gonna take your picture, no one's gonna talk about you. That's what draws in like the crowd that it draws in, and that's what keeps it so like high end and exclusive. But it's nice because you don't have to worry. It's like this like trust when you walk in there. But that's what makes it so enticing, because no one knows what the heck's going on in there.
Yeah.
No one knows what it looks like. They're like, I want to take a peek. I want to come.
Right. I feel like the original, like, not even private members club, but like the club experience that kind of rolled this whole concept out is Berghain in Germany, which is that like really exclusive club, but it's really edgy. Like they've even turned away like Britney Spears and like just like big celebrities. You have to be dressed a certain way. You have to be like really edgy, like maybe like a lot of tattoos, like
that's very
cool
specific
outfit. Yeah, no, like they're very grungy in Berlin, so it's a whole thing, but everybody that goes there tries to get access into Berghain. And whenever you get to the front of the line, I'm pretty sure they like tape your phone camera. So nobody ever knows what happens in there, or nobody ever knows what happens like when you get inside. So I think that's kind of like how these private members clubs formulated this sense of privacy and the sense of secrecy. And I think that's why people want to get into those rooms. It's like,
yeah, absolutely. Everyone wants what they can have, right?
For sure.
I mean, it all comes down to that. The curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because now with social media, I feel like there's people that are now starting to dog on certain private members clubs. They're like, oh, like this is in, this is out. So it's this like constantly rotating wheel of, oh, this one's really great right now, but there's going to be a new one that pops up and that's going to be like the it place. So it's kind of like just, it's cool, like the revolving door of it all.
Yeah. I mean, you ideally want it to stick, right? So that's my thing with
spending the money.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like, there are so many, and obviously you can't be a member everywhere unless you do what my friend is doing and you're trying to hack the system. But you want to pick one place that you resonate with the most, and hopefully it stays around and it's not like just like the trendy place. Like Soho House was that for so long, and I still think the Soho House membership is so valuable when you travel internationally, and I think that's the beauty of memberships membership clubs too, because if you have it in New York and you're in London, you can use the one in London or in Chicago or like whatever city you may be. That's a way to find your community in a completely new city, going back to like what you were saying. So if you're a Soho House member and you're going to Chicago for the first time, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Soho House. You're going to work from there. You're going to like meet someone who knows who you'll hit it off with. And that kind of sets the tone for your weekend. And I think that is actually one of like the biggest pros. I mean, Zero Bond, I think, does have plans to expand, and Casa Cipriani too, I think, is opening in Miami. So I think that's a huge value add.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I think it's cool that there's certain members clubs that have like international bases, and it's a good way, especially if you're like solo traveling, to get out of your comfort zone and meet new people. But yeah, I think there's just this influx of things wanting to be more private. I was actually talking to my trainer earlier today about ZZ's, and now restaurants are starting to be like private clubs. So you can only dine there if you're a member, and you have to pay an annual fee. So
their fees are crazy.
Yeah. I've been to the one in Miami with a friend, and it was really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's interesting, like how that's starting to become more of a thing. And yeah, people are obviously jumping on it, which I guess they're starting to learn is working. And now more restaurants and clubs are starting to appear out of the woodworks, which is crazy. It's a good business strategy for sure.
I mean, it's a good way to get a reservation.
Hopefully you get a reservation.
Like if you're a member, you got the res.
Hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like it's really booming in like New York, Miami, LA. And I was in DC for 4 years, and they didn't have anything, which was interesting. Obviously, there's like a huge political scene. So there's like a lot of like political groups that will get together and meet at certain places. But it wasn't really a thing there, which was interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, I feel like New York, everything kind of starts here. They trickle down. I mean, same with us. We'll probably go from New York to Miami to LA. Yeah. It's kind of like the trajectory of where, at least the crowd that these clubs attract are living, and where they frequent, or where they're like bi-coastal, or a lot of people live in all three cities. You are in New York, but you spend your winters in Miami, and then you're like bi-coastal to LA, or they just spend a lot of time. I think it's just like the nature of the industry and the people, and especially like entrepreneurs. So we're lucky. We're the lucky ones over here.
Yeah. So I kind of want to switch gears.
Okay.
But I know you're recently engaged and you're planning your wedding at the moment.
Yes.
So how has that been? And I know you guys were just in Costa Rica, and it looked beautiful. So nice. I know you're like really well traveled, and I feel like you're just living the life. But yeah, so how is that all going? And
oh man, well,
are you stressed?
Not yet. And this is a thing, and I'm sure people say this all the time, but I really think is like the biggest learning is like, don't feel the pressure, because once you get engaged, the first thing people are like, when's the wedding? When's the wedding? So I got a wedding planner last February, because I was just sick and tired of like hearing these questions like, when's the wedding? And I've never been the girl who has a dream wedding, knows what I want, where I want to get married, what I want to wear. I have no vision of what this is. And I'm such a flexible person from growing up everywhere and from moving, and I'm just very adaptable, that there's just no set in stone route for me. But we initially thought, like, we're a very New York couple. He's, in the industry in New York, and I've been in New York. We've both been in New York for 10 years. He's actually from New Jersey. 12 years. We're a very New York couple. So initially I was like, I want a New York wedding.
Yeah.
But I do travel a lot, to your point, and I do a birthday trip every year, which is a little crazy.
About to go to Paris.
Yeah, Paris, my favorite city. Aww. So then we looked at all the venues in New York last February. Weren't really like obsessed with what we were seeing. And New York's obviously, like, goes without saying, it's one of the most expensive places to get married. You say wedding, and here it's like 2-3 times the price of anywhere else. So we decided we wanted to do destination wedding. The thing is, I've already had this planner for a year. So now my New York planner is helping us plan a destination wedding. And then we've exhausted like Brazil. Obviously, I'm from there. It's not the safest country. It's also kind of a hassle to get to. The nicer areas, you got to fly to Sao Paulo, and then you got to fly somewhere else. And it's a lot of travel, especially for like older family. So that was out. We looked at Italy. Italy, everything is like quite small, right? You've got to have like 80 people for a wedding there. Mm-hmm. We want to have like 120. So that was out. We looked at Portugal. Portugal was a little too boho for Mac. Like we went to Lisbon and Comporta, and Comporta is like beautiful. We looked at places around there. A little bit too like boho chic for him. He's a little bit more luxe than I am.
Okay.
He's like a little bit more bougie.
I love that.
So yeah, it works for me. But so that was out. So we've exhausted like so many places. Finally, my wedding planner was like, I found this place in Costa Rica that you guys might like kind of throwing it out there, which is what we wanted her to do all along. But you know, we were kind of feeding her and not really knowing what direction we wanted. And she found this venue and we went to go see it. And hopefully this is the one. We're still waiting on contracts. So fingers crossed, knock on wood. Nothing's set in stone yet. But yeah, I feel like and we've been engaged for 1.5 years.
Oh, I love that. I think it's important to enjoy it.
Exactly. So that goes back to like the point of like, don't feel the pressure to just start planning a wedding just because everyone's like, when's the wedding?
Right.
When's the wedding? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm in no rush. I'm really in no rush to get
you do a lot.
Married. I want to have babies. So that would be like the only, time frame that you try to create, but no. So I'm very happy. We've like now 1.5 years later, after hiring this poor girl a year ago, we're like finding a destination, and then that'll kind of set the stage for everything else that's going to come into the planning. I'm sure we'll get stressed, but we've just been kind of coasting and looking everywhere in the world.
Well, as you should. Again, like I said, you're extremely busy. You're modeling. You are the director of
memberships.
I keep wanting to say communications director
because you get all my emails. You're like, it's Bruno on every email.
You're doing it all. Director of memberships for Teleport, and you're a content creator, and you're always like going to the most fun events. And I'm sure you have so many other things that you're doing as well. Planning a wedding, and
playing the piano.
Oh yeah, playing the piano. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm a Gemini, and so we're just like notoriously have a million hobbies, and we leave projects like half done.
Oh,
so like
really?
I'll have like a million hobbies, and I started the piano in 2020, got a keyboard, played, didn't touch it for 2 years. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get back into like piano class. There's always like something.
I love that you're taking piano lessons.
It's humbling.
My mom was a piano teacher growing up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Where does she live?
She lives in Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where you were from.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love the girlies that play piano. It's such.
Do you play?
I do, but honestly, I could use some lessons. It's been a while. I could, if I sat down and like really tried, yes, but I don't have a piano in my apartment or anything like that. I play guitar mostly. But anyway, I love that you're doing all these hobbies. And
so many.
What else do you do here in the city? Anything else that you've tried out?
I used to be big into like the fitness space actually, and doing like every class, doing a lot of like fitness influencing. Right now, I guess that's been like, I have a book club. I forgot about that.
Oh my gosh, cute.
Yeah, so it's about 50 women, New York, like all diverse. We read only female authors, every genre. So every month it's a different genre, from fiction to nonfiction to fantasy to people love thrillers. We read a thriller last month and we ended up finishing the book in 2 days. So we read the second one in the series, which was wild. So yeah, it's another way to like just bring community together. I'm very much a connector. So I guess that's my other hobby. I've been reading a lot.
I started love a hobby girl.
Yeah, I started it last January. So it's been over a year, and it's just like crazy. Like I've always wanted to read. I think the pandemic put a lot of things into perspective because you had all this downtime, right? So that's when I picked up the piano. That's when I started reading again. And then, so now it's just kind of like, how do I implement that into my life now that everything is open and we're back into like this fast paced life? Because my life is very fast paced. It's nonstop. It's like no days off. Like I do take like Mondays and Tuesdays to myself, but usually it's just, there's always something, and I'm a yes person, right, like I said, so it's hard to juggle it all. So I think it's like figuring out ways to bring in these things that bring you joy, but I think sometimes we just neglect for the sake of like our busy lives.
Absolutely, it's hard to find the time. But speaking of, what does your day-to-day look like, or is it just kind of always a mystery? Do you not really know what each day is going to look like, or do you have some sort of like organizational structure to how you do everything?
Work from home, which is nice. Pretty much working like a 10 to 6, like 9 to 5, depending, even later, like it's a startup, we're doing everything. And then I've been lucky. I've always been in startups. So I've been lucky to be able to juggle modeling with my career. I guess it's 2 careers. So I will have either a shoot or a fitting most weeks. I have a couple, like 3 fitting clients. I love fit modeling. I think it's amazing. I'm sure you use a fit model.
Yeah.
It's so interesting from like that end to be able to see how people design and come up with concepts. And I have everything from like existing brands to brands that are really like in full conception that have never come out before, and seeing the products come to life. I think it's so fascinating.
Absolutely.
And it taps back into like my background in the fashion industry a little bit. So I love the fit modeling clients. So a little bit of everything up until like 6:30. And then it's just like, I'm a one-on-one girly when it comes to catching up with friends. I like that quality time.
Yeah.
And so there's usually like at least 1 to 2 dinners. You got to squeeze in a date night at least once a week, keep the romance alive.
Yes.
And then there's always like someone's birthday. So events, I mean, there's always something going on at night, but during the day, it's pretty much like structured, like working from home and then running to like, whether it's like a casting or a shoot or a fitting.
Yeah. How did you get involved in the modeling space? Were you approached? How did that happen?
So yeah, this is also very interesting because when I was 14 and we lived in Connecticut, we came to Central Park and I had an agent like approach us.
That's cool.
And I was 5'6" or like 5'6", 5'7". I'm 5'7" now. And she was like, hit us up when she is like 5'9", when she grows a couple inches. I never grew a couple inches, right? So when I was 18 and being a little bit more exposed to the city, I would go to all the agencies and no one back then was like seeing anyone below 5'9". It was like industry standard.
Right.
All models were a certain look and a certain height.
Right. It was like runway only.
Yeah, exactly. And around 2017, I worked for an app for models and influencers. That's kind of how like I started meeting everyone in the city, making a lot of connections, friends. We worked with like every local bar, restaurant, cafe, gym, literally everything, kind of doing what Teleport does, but for models and influencers, minus the dating part. And I met every agency because that's how we onboarded our talent. So we would sit down with the agents and onboard like all of One Model Management, all of Wilhelmina, all of State. And that's where I met my agency Stets, because they were the first super like inclusive agency to, first of all, they started in fitting and fitness. Everyone on their board was like a professional dancer, which like can move, or like a Barry's like trainer. Like they just weren't what you're so used to seeing as a traditional model. Beautiful girls who are extremely talented, know how to move their bodies, but didn't have to fit into this like cookie cutter box of what a model was. And I loved them. And I was like, hey, do you want to like take me on? And I wasn't, I was always in fitness, but I wasn't like in fitness. And I was the first person that they took on that had a full-time career, like a 9-to-5 job, and wasn't like this fit professional. But they took a chance on me, and that was probably like 6 years ago now. And I've been with them ever since.
Wow.
And they've grown from like New York, like I was one of the first people on their board. They've grown now to like Miami and LA and men's division. And it was great. I always wanted to model, but it's so like when they put you down of like, you'll never be able to do this because you're not XYZ, and in seeing how far the industry has come and how like now it doesn't matter because it's still a job. Like if you're good at your job, it doesn't matter if you're 5'9". Right. It doesn't matter if you're a size 2 or if you're a size 8, right? And I think people now want to see more inclusivity and representation. I mean, we're seeing that in not only modeling, but like film and TV. So I feel very, very lucky to have them be like the leading in that shift, and for me to have been able to be a part of that.
I think that's incredible. Yeah. What is your like current like movement fitness routine, or are you
solid core?
Oh yeah.
I'm just like,
I need to get back into that.
Habit. It's hard as hell.
It's humbling going back after you haven't been for a while.
After you haven't been for like a week. You take a week off and you're like, how was I doing this before?
It's really nuts. I haven't gone in a while, so yeah. I need to pop my cherry with that again.
You can come with me.
Oh yeah, we can go. That would be so cute.
We'll meet in the middle.
Yeah,
because we're on the east side, so we'll just like find.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to have another east side friend.
I love bringing new friends. I know this sounds kind of mean, but I love bringing like new friends to Solid Core for like the first time. I brought one of my like makeup artist girlfriends who's staying with me from Miami, and she was just like, we were just laughing the whole time, which is kind of inappropriate in this like dark room. But the instructor was laughing too, and she was just like, I cannot freaking do this.
Oh
And
my gosh.
it was hilarious.
It is funny. I actually just brought one of my friends in New Orleans to this Pilates studio there. That's like really hard. And she had never done a Pilates class ever. And the whole time she was just looking at me, I hate you.
Yes, I love it.
And I like took a picture at the end. She's like flicking me off in the back. And I'm like, okay.
I love it.
So
That
I
and
loved it.
Have you been to the box?
No.
Oh, you got to come to the box.
Yeah.
My other favorite thing is bringing people to the box for the first time. You know the box.
Yes, I know the box. Yeah. And there's been nights where I've had the opportunity to go. I just kind of get scared and don't go.
Yeah.
So I think I need somebody that's like a seasoned veteran to bring me.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. It's like, don't tell anyone
and then go to the box.
Oh my God. Perfect day.
I love it. Well, I have one last question for you, Bruna. If you were to drink a martini in a bikini, where would you be and what would you be drinking?
The question of the day.
Yeah, question of the year.
This is a very hard to decide question because it's like, okay, there's two things. One, like top of my bucket list is Japan. I'm dying to go to Tokyo. I might actually make it my honeymoon.
Oh, yeah, that would be so amazing.
Yeah, very like unique. We're like city adventurous people, need activities. So if I was in Tokyo, I'd be drinking a lychee martini.
Yeah.
I think one of the most underrated martinis.
Agreed.
But you can never go wrong on a boat anywhere.
True.
So I would probably, if I'm not in Tokyo, because I wouldn't know if I'd be wearing a bikini in Tokyo.
You could.
Unless it was like part of my like outfit.
I think they'd all have like huge bug eyes. Like, what is she doing? But I think you could.
Or it's like Harajuku and you can kind of pull off anything.
True. You can make a statement.
Yeah.
You could become like a Japanese star.
You never know.
End up on the local newspaper.
Okay, so that would be, I guess, like top choice now that you're like inspiring me with all the fashion ideas, because I was like, how am I going to bring a bikini into this? But yeah, like on a boat anywhere, extra dirty martini. I love the espresso martinis. I think this is aggressive when people drink it at brunch.
Oh,
I'm like, this is like a post dinner
or like a sexy like cocktail
nighttime
lounge bar.
Exactly.
Vibe. Yeah.
Brunch, like people that are having espresso martinis at brunch are just like walling out.
I agree. It's choosing violence for sure.
So if I'm in a bikini, I'm drinking like an extra dirty vodka.
That. I love that. I feel like you gave us some variety, which I like.
Yeah.
It's giving me some ideas. But thank you so much for coming on. This was so fun. I feel like we could sit here and chat for hours. But if you want to share how people can be friends, how they can connect, how they can stay in touch with everything that you're doing, feel free to share.
You guys can follow me on at Bruna Petrillo, BrunaPetrillo. Pretty much that on all socials, and shoot me a message if you're interested in joining Teleport. I'll send you a link.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. You were
you.
like such good energy, and I feel like you just are so chic, and I learned a lot. But if you guys liked this episode, or if you learned anything new, please feel free to share on social media. Tag me, tag Martinis and Bikinis, tag Bruna, and let us know what you thought. And please remember to like, rate, and subscribe to Martinis and Bikinis on Spotify or Apple. I'll love you forever. And yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Sorry, you just put it down. Cheers.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Absolutely. Cool. Yay. Oh my gosh, that was so fun.
Perfect.
I like forgot we were